Back to the Future, a classic 80s movie. Marty goes into the past to make sure his parents kiss, and it changes everything.
This is nuts.
Then, in the next movie, he travels into the future to try and fix things again, because he changed everything. Time travel is messy. Unlike our timeline, Marty's timeline had Jaws 19. And this.
Hoverboard.
I wish I lived in the hoverboard timeline. Speaking of hoverboards, I remember at some point kids were convinced hoverboards were real. And the only reason they didn't come out was because parent consumer groups said they were too dangerous. I found out the original source of this rumor was Back to the Future Part 2 director Robert Zemeckis. He said it on a behind-the-scenes documentary used to promote the release of Back to the Future 2. Zemeckis says,
"The hoverboard is a board that hovers on magnetic energy, and it works just like a skateboard, except it doesn't have any wheels, and you don't have to have any pavement to hover on. And they've been around for years. It's just that parents groups have not let the toy manufacturers make them, and we got our hands on some, and we put them in the movie."
And another movie urban legend is born. Speaking of urban legends, especially the state mythical creature urban legends, some of my favorites are the Jersey Devil, Mothman, the Squonk. Yeah, ever heard of the Pennsylvania Squonk? Look at it. Just look at it. The Squonk lives in the Pennsylvania hemlock forests and generally travels about at twilight and dusk. Because of its misfitting skin, which is covered with warts and moles, it is always unhappy. Hunters are able to follow the squonk by its tear-stained trail, for the animal weeps constantly. Squonk tears. Funny thing, the third track on Genesis's 1976 album, A Trick of the Tail, is titled Squonk. Speaking of Genesis is one of the bands Patrick Bateman is obsessed with in the 2000 horror thriller American Psycho.
I've been a big Genesis fan ever since the release of their 1980 album, Duke.
Bateman seemed to really enjoy 80s pop music, especially Genesis and Huey Lewis and the News. Can't say I blame him, both are great. But Patrick took it a bit too far for my taste.
Masterpieces, hip to be square.
I grew out of Huey Lewis and the News by the 90s. Speaking of Huey Lewis, did you know Huey had a hit song called The Power of Love that was in the movie Back to the Future?
I'm late for school.
And he also made a cameo in the film. Huey plays the teacher with the megaphone who tells Marty, his band,
"I'm afraid you're just too darn loud."
Ironically, Marty's band is playing Huey's song. Back to the Future, a classic 80s movie. Marty goes into the past to make sure his parents kiss, and it changes everything.